So, what are we celebrating? We aren't.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 game companies that don't exist anymore. For this list, we'll be looking at publishers and developers that, for one reason or another, were closed down. Even if the brand name was revived at a later date, if the company was made defunct, it was considered for this list. Which closure broke your heart the most? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10. Sierra Entertainment. For trailblazing in the graphic adventure genre, Sierra Entertainment's praises can't be sung loudly enough. Founded in 1979, Sierra developed and published hit franchises like King's Quest, Leisure Suit Larry, and Quest for Glory. Unfortunately, the company was purchased by CUC International in 1996, the subject of a massive accounting scandal 2 years later. While Sierra continued its incredible work, such as publishing Valve's groundbreaking Half-Life, the damage had been done. Many of Sierra's development studios were shut down in the late 90s. After several purchases and name changes, Activision acquired Sierra in 2008, only to shut it down later that year. However, Activision revived the brand in 2014 for re-releases and collaborations with indie developers. But it just isn't the same company that it once was. Number 9. Black Isle Studios.
I think you're the only hope we have. You need to go find us another controller chip.
Founded in 1996, Black Isle Studios hit the ground running straight out of the gate. The studio would become known as an RPG powerhouse, developing the original 2 Fallout games as well as publishing BioWare's Baldur's Gate series. Sadly, the studio wasn't long for this world. In 2003, Black Isle's parent company, Interplay, closed the studio due to various financial issues and canceled highly anticipated games like Black Isle's version of Fallout 3. Interplay would revive the studio in 2012 to work on a new project, but nothing came of it. With most staffing having migrated to studios like Obsidian, the revived studio, which released a 4K remaster of Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance in 2021, was Black Isle in name only. Number 8. Hudson Soft. Hudson Soft showed extreme promise as a developer, having internally created franchises like Bomberman, Bonk, and Bloody Roar. But the company had its hands in several other pies. Outside of its own creations, Hudson Soft worked with Nintendo to create the massively popular Mario Party series. It also held gaming competitions in Japan beginning in the mid-80s and helped create the TurboGrafx 16 console. But even a company this influential isn't safe from financial losses. Throughout the mid-2000s, many high-ranking employees would leave. And in 2011, Hudson Soft became a subsidiary of Konami, which had become the company's largest shareholder in 2001. By 2012, Hudson Soft agreed to a merger with Konami, officially ceasing to exist. Number 7. Clover Studio. Although the studio would only last 3 years, those 3 years were packed with some fantastic games. Clover was founded under Capcom in 2004 to develop a new IP, though its first project would be porting Beautiful Joe to the PS2 before working on a sequel and 2 spin-offs. Clover then released Okami, a gorgeous watercolored action-adventure title that failed to live up to Capcom's sales expectations. In fact, none of Clover's games, including its last, the beat-em-up God Hand, were high sellers. Despite good reviews, Clover's low sales and some creative stiflement from Capcom led to the studio's demise. But the silver lining came when some of its creative leaders founded the now legendary Platinum Games. Number 6. Acclaim Entertainment. If you played a licensed game in the 90s, there's a good to fair chance it was published by Acclaim. Founded in 1987, Acclaim published games based on The Simpsons, RoboCop, Alien, Batman, and South Park, just to name a few. though it also found success with console ports like Mortal Kombat and Crazy Taxi, as well as original published titles like Turok and Burnout. Acclaim was a huge name, but that didn't save it from financial woes. Following a year of poor sales and a slew of questionable marketing decisions, the company filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in 2004 and began selling off its IPs in 2005. Number 5. Pandemic Studios.
So, what are we celebrating? We aren't.
Pandemic was formed in 1998 under Activision and began making a couple of sequels to Activision games. But it wasn't long before the studio made a name for itself. Pandemic became a haven for bombastic action games such as Star Wars Battlefront, Mercenaries, and Destroy All Humans. The studio would develop sequels for each of them before EA acquired it in 2008. And right before Pandemic released 2009's The Saboteur, EA closed the studio due to larger financial constraints that saw the developer's more than 200 employees let go. Many would be scooped up by various other developers like 343 Industries, but it's a shame this studio isn't still churning out awesome action games.
Band together, we can still win.
Number 4. Neversoft Entertainment. Although it would become synonymous with wonderful console multiplayer games, Neversoft Entertainment came from humble beginnings. Founded in 1994, the small studio struggled through its first few releases before it caught the eye of Activision. After releasing the insanely popular Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Neversoft was acquired by Activision in 1999. From there, it released 8 more games in the series before moving on to Guitar Hero, which had been purchased by Activision in 2006. Neversoft stayed on the franchise until Activision chose a different developer in 2011, while simultaneously laying off 50 Neversoft employees. Activision then had it help out on 2 Call of Duty titles before merging it with developer Infinity Ward in 2014 and closing it that same year. Number 3. Visceral Games.
USG Ishimura, this is the emergency maintenance team of the USG Kellion responding to your distress call. Come in, Ishimura.
What started as EA Redwood Shores in 1998 steadily released Tiger Woods and James Bond games. But the studio hit it big in 2009 when it developed the intensely terrifying Dead Space. With that success came the rebrand to Visceral Games and 2 Dead Space sequels. Following EA's disappointment in the second game's sales, the team was forced to include faster gameplay and a co-op mode in the third entry. That didn't help, and EA tasked Visceral with completing new games in the Battlefield and Army of Two franchises. The studio was famously in development of a single-player Star Wars game codenamed Project Ragtag, with Uncharted's Amy Hennig attached to direct. But that project would sadly get cancelled following EA's closure of Visceral in 2017. Number 2. Silicon Knights.
Clearance and lineage required before entering.
This Canadian developer began in 1992 with PC strategy games, but the studio's console efforts were by far its strongest. 1996's Blood Omen began the cult favorite Legacy of Kain series. The studio's work with the GameCube saw the release of the spooky and meta Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem, as well as a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid. But this is where the positives end. 2008's Too Human released to mediocre reviews and was part of a lawsuit between Silicon Knights and Epic Games that lasted from 2007 to 2012. The court sided with Epic, finding that Silicon Knights had illegally copied code from Epic's Unreal Engine 3 to use in its own engine. One $9 million payout later, and Silicon filed for bankruptcy in 2014.
It is definitely of machine origin, but of a design and composition that is totally new.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few dishonorable mentions. LucasArts, killed by Disney and revived only as a licensor of Lucasfilm's properties. Telltale Games. A revival by LCG Entertainment doesn't change the fact that most developers were let go.
I'm not a dad. I'm a neighbor.
Westwood Studios. The original Command & Conquer developer was another EA casualty.
Construction complete.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Midway Games. It's hard to remember the golden age of arcades without immediately thinking of publisher and developer Midway Games. Originally a manufacturing company, Midway broke into the game market in the mid-70s and distributed Taito's seminal Space Invaders in North America. From there, the Midway empire grew with original franchises like Mortal Kombat and Rampage, as well as licensed franchises like Gauntlet and Pac-Man. Its properties would make it over to consoles, but the mid-2000s saw increasingly heavy losses and debt for the company. By 2009, their losses were so extreme that Midway filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Most of its assets were sold to Warner Brothers, which also acquired the Chicago-based studio responsible for Mortal Kombat, which would rebrand to NetherRealm Studios.
What? How did you... Appearances can be deceiving.
In the mood for more awesome gaming content? Be sure to check out this video here on Mojo Plays. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.